Mic check. One, two, one, two. Can everybody hear me out there? Cool, cool, cool. Well, welcome to Take It to Trial. My name is Sweet Pea Diamonds. And today we're going to be discussing a recap in regards to the Diddy trial. Unless you've been up under a rock, everybody has heard about this trial in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So today I'm just going to recap week one because we're going into week two and it's going to be very explosive. So we got our guy who Sean Combs, also known as Diddy, P Diddy, Puff Daddy, Brother Love. Now he's known as Frank Black, Pop Diddy. Just he has a ton of names, right? We can all agree upon that. Um, how did we get here? I guess everybody will want to know. Well, let's start here. How about he was dating Cassie? You know, they broke up in 2018. Um, I guess at some point in time after the breakup in 2023, she went to rehab and wrote a book and she sent it to Diddy, wanting him to just read it and understand exactly how he made her feel. And I guess she sent it to his assistant, and his assistant was like, it was like totally dismissed. And I guess she was like, okay, well, either you read it and understand where I'm coming from in regards to the hurt and the pain that you have caused me, or I'm publishing it, or you can give me $30 million, right? Of course, dismissed, just like men do. So dismissed the case, dismissed her claims, and she filed suit, right? So now we have this lawsuit that's being filed. Of course, he didn't pay it in 24 hours. We didn't find out the magical figure was 20 million in order to settle the claim. And I think that from the details that she provided in the lawsuit made the feds start investigating um, just the arson, what she may not have known at that point in time as a possibility of trafficking. They were able to read those details and say, we think we got something. So here we go. Now we're ready. We get the apology video and we get the um, video from the hotel, like one thing after another. Then we got the raids on all the houses. And then we get more lawsuits from people filing claims against Diddy, and more lawsuits, and more lawsuits. And then he's finally arrested in jail. But we still got all these lawsuits. You would have never told me that we would be already doing a trial at this point in time, especially for a federal case. But we're here. Jury selection took place last week. So they started on Monday. And their first witness was he's now Detective Flores. I believe he works in Los Angeles. He was the prior head of security at the Intercontinental Hotel where the incident took place. And his testimony was, I think, basically just to bring the video in because he could verify that the video in the incident. And he testified to the points of he got a call on the phone. He kind of got off the elevator and he saw Diddy sitting in the chair. Cassie was right there. Asked about the disturbance. He even made statements to say that Diddy said that she not going nowhere. And he did actually mention that there was a man in the room because that was the real big discussion. Like Cassie stated that she was trying to escape a freak off when this incident happened. And that's how this took place at this hotel with this video. So we go into where he explains that he did see a male in the room. Um, he asked Cassie in regards to did she want to um, call law enforcement? Of course, she stated that she didn't. So she ended up calling an Uber, which I found was strange. She ended up taking an Uber. And that was basically his testimony of coming in. He did also mention things in regards to that he had to him Diddy up. Um, but the strange part about all of his statements that he brought in, some of these things were not in his police report. And Brian Steele, aka Young Thug's lawyer, right? He cross-examined him on this information, and these things, critical details like um, Cassie didn't ask for law enforcement. He had to him Diddy up. Certain small details were not included in his report, but what was included in his that was included, that he was offered $50,000, that he didn't take the money, but he also, testified to the fact that he took a recording of the video. He took the recording of the video so he can take it home and show his wife. So, and I guess for everlasting memories, he still has the video. So even the clip that we actually seen initially is longer than that. Um, so that was basically his testimony. And then next to the stand, they had brought one of the sex workers. Um, I guess you want to call him, maybe he was a dancer that turned into a sex worker when he knocked on their door. Which is so funny because I'm like, well, if that wasn't your MO before, I don't know how you go to somebody's door and it completely changes. But I guess money will make you do anything. But anywho, Mr. Daniel Phillips, he testified next, and he was just stating that um, when he would meet Diddy and Cassie, um, he testified to some violence that he had seen, different things that happened. During their freak offs. You would have never told me that a freak off was Cassie, Diddy, and a sex worker or two. I thought it was like a wild orgy party, the way they was making it seem. But now that we're actually in court and people are testifying to the different details that are happening, I'm now learning that it just wasn't that. Um, he stated that when the first time that he ever met them, that of course they wanted to be incognito. So you had Cassie come to the door with some red heels, red lingerie, and a red wig and sunglasses. And he stated that he walked in the room, and Diddy was sitting off in the corner with a white robe and a bandana and a hat on and sunglasses, just like kind of sitting off in the corner. Of course, him and Cassie got to doing anything, and he said that he knew it was Diddy after he heard his voice. So anyhow, he actually came back multiple times and encountered in these freak offs with them. He even introduced the baby oil, um, the reasons why they utilize the baby oil, the different lubricants that they use, and even offered the testimony in regards to him being offered drugs in order to be able to perform. He was able to testify to there was a time when he had came to do his services, is what I'm going to call it. He came to do his services, and Cassie and Diddy must have got into it in the room, and he went out in another room because he couldn't perform anymore, because after seeing the abuse or the arguing, he just couldn't get it up anymore. So he went out into the other room, and um, eventually Diddy left the room, and Kathy came out and, kind of jumped in his arms on the couch, and, why are you still with him? Blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, they on the couch kissing. And of course, at this point in time, now he can get it up and he can perform. But, you know, that's the way it goes sometimes, right? I guess all that pressure and all that stuff going on in the room with them arguing and stuff would make a person not be able to perform. So he got basically paid on his performance. So if he didn't perform, he didn't get paid. He got paid from the sum of $700 all the way up to $6,000. So I guess depending on what tricks he did up in that room, determined the amount that Diddy was gonna pay him. And next um, the next person that actually testified was their star witness, which was Cassie. She's very important to this whole investigation because she started it. In my opinion, in regards to um, when she filed her lawsuit and put all those details in there. So here we go, and she, as reported, and I'm pretty sure everybody has heard that, she's like, she in her third trimester with her third baby, married, got a family, you know, everything. And I'm almost thinking that they brought her to the stand at this point in time so early in the game because they don't know when she was gonna have this baby. It could be any day now. She definitely looked like any day. But anyhow, she, she came to the stand. Different things that she testified to, that were kind of shocking. She, the prosecutors wanted to make it clear that, the different times that she was actually abused, how she was introduced to, the drugs, and also into bringing in some of the sex trafficking. Um, I know some things that shocked me. She stated that Diddy was the person that introduced her to oral sex. I know that when she met him, she was 19, and um, she was with somebody prior to that. That she was actually another producer that she was with. So she got with Diddy, and now he's the person that introduced her to oral sex. I don't know about all of that. Um, but we're gonna take her word for it. So she stated that the first time she kissed Diddy was on her 21st birthday. And she was very excited about it, and they ended up, kind of getting together. She said that, she agreed to the freak offs because she wanted to make him happy. Um, which is what women, people, when they get in relationships, they typically do. Like, if there's different things that your spouse like or want, you typically do those things, right? So cool. So she's engaging in all these freak offs. She's the one that's actually, she testified that she was the one that actually called, booked the escort slash dancer slash whatever they wanted to call him when he got there, person. She would even, answer the door and ask them. Her first initiation was, "I'm not a cop. Are you a cop?" That kind of thing. So she initiated all of this stuff, kind of, sort of, in those regards. And so, this was their thing. I mean, wild, kinky, swinger sex. I mean, they're not like the average people like myself and probably you, like, where we can just go to, if that's our thing, we can just do it. Like, they had to do everything up undercover. It had to be very secretive. So I understand why they were bringing people to the rooms and different things like that. She admitted to, there were times that people urinated on her, and she had to drink urine, and she had to drink cum, and, all of this stuff, to live out her fantasy and his fantasy. And I mean, although she was doing these things, I think after time progressed, she eventually no longer wanted to, participate in them. Um, so I know that she did mention in regards to the first time that he actually hit her. Um, and it came from actually her hitting him first. So, it was the initial aggression by her. And this happened in 2009, and it actually matches a story from Roger Bonds on Vlad TV, where he had to break them up in front of a hotel because they had just left a party for Jay Z, and he had called her some type of slut or something in there, and she got in the car, and I guess she punched him. Now I guess after she punched him, Diddy got irate and whooped her ass. Just simple as it. Whooped her ass. She actually jumped out of the car, ran down the street. The security guard came and got her and brought her back. And that was kind of like their first incident in regards to the domestic violence and far as the abuse portion. But, it was brought out on the stand, we never thought before the trial started that Cassidy hit him. We always thought it was just Diddy hitting her, but on the stand, they were able to get out of her that she actually initiated some of this domestic violence. So we have that there. Um, they were able to bring out in regards to the facts that she um, would request these freak offs. Like she would text him and say, I want to freak off. I love freaking off with you. Like, and these are different points. They were together for 11 years. So this is at different points. You got your honeymoon phase, you got your phase, and then you got I'm over it phase, right? So yeah, she was initiating that at different points in time. So how does that work? And this is throughout the time. Now, whether she was trying to please him or not please him, it seemed like her best interest was for him, right? So um there were those parts in regards to um, how the freak offs kind of began. How she enjoyed them, she liked them, she texted him and told him she loved freaking off with him, and that's okay, and nothing's wrong with that. But I guess there is always a time where people, it's okay until it's not okay, right? So, and I think that was the case with her. At the same point in time, Kim Porter was still in his life. So there was a lot of times on holidays and things like that where she would not be able to see him because he would be with Kim Porter and his children in LA. And that was probably very hurtful for her. And I think that as time progressed, she began to feel like that she was just a freak off girl, right? So I think, to that effect, that once, when Kim Porter passed away, um, and Diddy made that Instagram post, speaking that, she was the love of his life, that really hurt Cassie because in a lot of her text messages, she even explained, like, I've been here, 11 years, and all I wanted was you. I didn't want your money. I didn't want anything like that. All I wanted was to be with you. So I think that's why, you know, she was doing the extra, the most, anything to satisfy him. And when he was not getting her to that position of being the wife, um, the baby mama, whatever, being a permanent placement in his life, she was kind of like over it. And that's why I think that she was kind of over the whole freak off thing. There were multiple times where she did tell him that she didn't want to do it, but then she would, circle right back and, do the freak offs. Like even during the periods of times when they were broken up, like she was still fulfilling her freak off, modes. It even went back to where she was saying, hey, he signed me to a 10 album deal. She only completed one album, right? And she literally said on the stand, like the reason why she only completed one album because the rest of her time was preparing for freak offs that would last from 1 day to 4 days. And another time, was training for the freak offs. It was just amazing to me that she was training for these sessions. So she didn't have time to make music. That's what her job was. And so even when they were on their downspouts where they were not together, she was still fulfilling these freak offs for him. So we got that. They were able to bring that testimony out. Even with the defense, they brought out some very key points and moments in regards to their relationship to kind of present that this is consensual sex. Like, this is not what the feds are charging in regards to sex trafficking and um, things like that, in regards to her kidnapping. um, so I think when you think about what they're charging him with, the defense did a very good job in regards to pulling some things out of Cassie, regarding her, wanting to do these things. Now, regardless of the fact of why she wanted to do those things at that point in time, um, it's her, her right. But does that make it, sex trafficking? Like, or is this just like a case of domestic violence? Like, I will admit that he was whooping on her, right? She was hitting on him too. So I think that even when you're talking about domestic violence, it can probably go both ways, right? Um, some definite moments that I like that the defense did bring out, um, in regards to, like, they were both on drugs really, really heavily. She admitted on when she was on direct that she took these drugs because she had to do something to numb herself, so she would be there but not be in the moment, right? Feel but not feel. So they did do a lot of Molly and MCDC drugs in order to um, keep her going, and so she can relax and kind of like be in the moment. They were doing cocaine, um, just different things to perform these acts for him, and they were both doing them. So they even called each other drug partners or something like drug partners. I was like, oh God, that's how they refer to each other. But that's a thing. So I think that, they brought that information out in regards to, how heavily they both used drugs, how there were different points in times where she was able to actually get in other relationships. Although she, would eventually go back to Diddy or in a full relationship, because remember, during any of these periods of time, she was still continuing to do freak off. So that part didn't never change. So they were still in constant communication, and she was still performing those acts with him, to make him happy. They were able also to bring out information in regards to, there was a guy that a DJ, when she was in Atlantic City, and I think Diddy was in California, and he had, explained to Cassie that he had one of the tapes. So they was able to play a video recording of her actually threatening to kill this man, over the tape, and she even testified to the fact that, Diddy was very concerned. He did not want the tape getting out there, not just for her benefit, but his benefit also. So, all the times that she's saying that he was mentioning that he was threatening to put the tapes out there, it sounded like that if the tapes came out, they both had some things that would damage their reputation in regards to the acts and things that they were doing. So I don't know if that was really something that he would do, or if that was just something that he would say in order to hang over her head. But the defense was able to bring in that information in regards to um, the video recording of her threatening this man to kill him in regards to these tapes. It, I did find some different things, kind of disturbing, in regards to even when they literally brought out the book It's like a photo album, and had her like flip through the book, and she was literally able to almost name all the escorts and sex workers that she has slept with. Wow. Like I was like, wow. Like she remembered the names, where they had it at, where they did it at. And I was like, gosh, well, she really has a good memory. And it was about 20 of them. And that's probably just the ones that they were able to figure out and get a picture of and submit to her to show. And I think that was important by the prosecution for direct, because that's going to be able to connect that it was like interstate, like they were going from state to state. I think she had some that were in Miami, some that were in LA, some that were in New York. Then we have Las Vegas, and then some out of the country. So that gives that interstate kind of sex crime um, transportation charge that he has. So that was important for them to bring in. They also were able to bring in the Kid Cudi situation, where she admitted that they were dating, and that when Diddy found out that they were dating, it was actually at a freak off. He was going through her phone, and he got real jealous and mad, and put a corkscrew like between his knuckles and kind of lunged at her. But he didn't hit her at that point in time. But he did let her know that, if you're gonna be, messing with, Kid Cudi, I'm gonna mess both of y'all up. And so I guess um, at that point in time, she did leave, and I think she did go to Kid Cudi's house after that incident that day. But she eventually broke it off with Kid Cudi. I mean, it only lasted a month, right? Um, she said he did threaten something in regards to blowing up his car, and at after the breakup, they did go sit down at a restaurant. Cassie, Diddy, and Kid Cudi was there, and during the sit down, it's kind of funny, but it's not funny. But as Kid Cudi was like, "Well, what about my car?" And that's where that infame that video comes out in regards to what car, where did he respond to that, and that's how she said he responded, like, "What car?" So I guess he not addressing anything with any car issue. He better figure it out. So um, so say all that to say that's how they're trying to bring in the arson portion. Now I think that it would be very important that if they're able to get any evidence or anything brought in from Cuddy in regards to the actual arson of his vehicle. I'm not sure if they're just going to go off of Cassie's testimony in regards to that portion, or if they have some additional evidence, but we'll see that as we go down the line. What else can I tell you that happened that happened that was very shocking to me, um, that I didn't kind of know before the trial started. I did find when he got arrested in New York, um, like he don't give up, like he don't quit. I mean, they had an agent that came on, and she testified to the fact that searched his hotel where he was staying at in New York after he got arrested, and this man still had the baby oil, the Molly, the Astroglide, and $9,000. Like he had a ready freak off kit. So he was ready to freak off again, like, or he had been continuing to do his freak offs after the raids, after all the stuff. And this is right after he got arrested. So in his current hotel, he was freak off prepared. So these freak offs didn't stop once Cassie left. And I think that's what victim two, which is a Jane Doe, is probably going to testify to at some point in time in the trial. But yeah, he didn't stop. In in regards to that, I know that Don Richardson, she testified. She testified Friday. It was really, really short. I don't even know why they put her on the stand on Friday. They asked her like two or three questions, like some preliminary questions to find out how she was involved and how she knew Diddy and how she knew Cassie, and kind of got one statement in regards to some abuse out of her. And her abuse kind of detailed in regards to, it was a time when they were at the house, and Diddy came down the stairs and was like, "Where's my food?" And I guess Cassie must didn't answer quick enough, because the next thing they saw was a frying pan going across the room. It didn't hit her, but then the next thing he was jumping on her and pulling her kind of up the stairs, and from there, I guess they got into an altercation. And what was concerning about that portion of it is that Dawn said that the next day when she went to go talk to Cassie about it, Cassie just kind of said, "You look, it's not best. It's best that we don't talk about it because people typically come up missing." And the prosecutor had asked her on the stand, like, "Well, what does that mean to you when you hear that statement?" And the last statement that she testified to, she said, "Death." And I'll tell you, if you talk about an objection from the defense, like objection, like how is she gonna infer that off of that? But she did. So that was kind of like, and she'll be back on Monday. So she'll be back tomorrow, actually, in order for us to go dive more into her testimony and other things that she has seen. But I know that at the end of the day on Friday, they were kind of um, going back and forth, the defense attorneys and the prosecutors, in regards to the statement regarding that event, because Cassie never testified to that event happening, that abusive event. But when Cassie did testify, she did say that she couldn't remember all the events that occurred as far as the abuse, but she remembered those freak offs in great details. Um, so I get, next week we will hear more from Dawn, her friend, her ex friend. She used to be a friend. Megan Kelly. She'll be on there. I believe Megan Kelly. She'll be on there next week in order to testify. She's supposed to testify Monday, which should be very interesting because she's the first one after the 2009 event that actually called the police. Um, and with her, um, she called the police. Although when the police came out to the scene, Cassie did not tell them exactly who hurt her at that point in time. So, um, and she has been friends with Cassie and Diddy for a very long time, and did drugs with them. Of course, she didn't do any freak offs, and there was a point in time when Cassie even thought that he wanted to be with her friend, Carrie Morgan. Yeah, that's her name, Carrie Morgan. When yeah, he thought Cassie thought that Diddy wanted her friend Carrie Morgan. And I mean, of course, that wasn't the case, but they did all hang out all the time together up until it was a point where Diddy didn't want Cassie really doing drugs anymore. And he walked in one day with her and Carrie doing drugs, and he threw a wooden hanger in the direction of Carrie. It didn't hit her, from my understanding, but because Cassie did not defend her or assist her, Carrie and her friendship kind of dissolved from that. And the defense was even able to pull out that, and most of us, I mean, we don't know that Carrie had filed a suit against her and Diddy, and Cassie and Diddy end up having, they both put in money to in order to be able to settle that suit. So her ex friend, because of course they're not friends currently now, not that I'm aware of, has sued her because of that situation that happened with Diddy. Um, what else we got going on? They did find out, the defense did a good job in regards to a real surprise that, not Cassie just got $10 million from the Intercontinental Hotel that she settled last week. So that's 10 million more dollars. So, and not to say that money takes away from anything of if she was truly, if she's truly a victim and this has happened to her. I guess the thing is that they, of course the defense gotta be attorneys, they have to be able to try to poke some holes in some different things. And they did try to allude to the jury that she is, doing this for money. Because remember, she was with Diddy. She had all this, had maids, probably chefs, can fly, cars, go on trips, all this stuff. And she left him for Alex Fine, who is a personal trainer, right? So her, the personal trainer, their two kids, they were all staying with her parents in Connecticut. Why, I don't know if it was financial reasons or not, but I'm pretty sure as like the defense presented, she had a tour scheduled, but after she got that settlement from Diddy, that tour was canceled. Although she said it was canceled because of all the stress that she was dealing with after she had settled her claim with Diddy. But yeah, I guess you can take that for what it is. But if you get $20 million, like, why do you don't need to go on tour anymore? Like, just say you don't want to go on tour anymore because there's no reason to go on tour anymore at that point in time. And so now she's, she just settled another claim where she'll get $10 million for that infamous vehicle video that came out with the Intercontinental Hotel. So we got that out. Um, and there are a lot of testimony in regards to her, the different abusive situations. I mean, like even getting, thrown off a boat out in France. Like, and the crazy part is that even with her getting thrown off the boat in France, her and Diddy, they get on a plane, they go to, red carpet events, and then, even after all of this toxic stuff, they both are planning these freak offs. Like, it's just not one sided. In any of these, I haven't seen not one text message come from her talking about, no, I don't want to freak off with you. Like, it was unlimited. Like, she freaking off on her cycle. She freaking off with UTI. She's freaking off with sores in her mouth. Like, really? Ain't that much satisfying your man, but go for it. To each his own. Do you, boo? That's what I could tell you. But yeah, she was doing the most. Like, and I know everybody had their different things that they like and different things that they like to do in their bedroom. And as long as it stayed in their bedroom, you like it, I love it. But it's kind of shocking, that may be something that they were into, even with the urination. And he was letting men come in her, and the reason why he wanted to make sure they came in her is because he wanted her to scoop the cum out and put it on his nipples. Now, what that do for him, I don't know. But that was something that he liked. I guess it is no different than, women that go over to different countries at some point in time and they were getting pooped on. And in different clubs people like, pain and piercing, and that's just something that's, sexual arousing to them. But everybody got the kinks and different things that they like. And it sounds like that, at least from what the defense have put on, it's a different thought process in regards to, it sounds like two people that were addicted to sex, addicted to drugs, and were in a toxic relationship and very jealous of each other being with anybody else. Um, at least that's the way it came across to me. Versus to when the prosecution, of course, when they had her on the stand, they had to make it as like she was a sympathetic victim that didn't never want these freak offs, and the only person she wanted to have sex with was Diddy, and which may be true, but she actually made a choice that she wanted to do these things. So it's kind of confusing, but the defense did bring out those different things, and I'm almost sure that if he would have married her, we wouldn't be here today. So that's really concerning because I think that she would have still been doing these different things, and she even stated in her thing she don't mind having this aggressive sexual desire with her husband. So she kind of alluded to these; those were the things that she wanted was to be, with him. Like a lot, she even stated on the stand that I look forward to the freak offs because afterwards, her and Diddy would make love. Like they would enjoy each other. Like that was time that she was able to get with him one on one time, right? So she may feel like she needed to do the freak offs in order to spend time with him. She also mentioned that she felt like if she didn't do them, other people will. And I guess that's kind of, concerning because you decided to, do these things for whatever reason, and that may be totally fine. That's fine. Um, but then we can't say like because things didn't go our way that it was something other than what it was. And I guess I mean, of course, it's gonna take the jury to figure it out. They have 8 men on the jury, 4 women on the jury. They all from different backgrounds, different races, do different things in the community. Some of them are retired. Um, but that'll be for them to decide whether what the feds put on if it is gonna meet that burden of proof. But I really think that it's kind of high, in that regards of what has been presented so far. So I actually think that at the end of the day that from the trial, like it's kind of like 50-50. Like I think from the first week, I think, they both 50-50 split in regards to who win in this case. The prosecution has not won me over and the defense has not won me over either. Because Diddy, got a lot of explaining for a lot of the things that he did. So, depending on if they can see past, the domestic part about it, they may be able to analyze everything else, but um he's not on trial for domestic violence, right? So we shouldn't that should be eliminated from any kind of deliberations. But we are human and we all, take different things in consideration from our backgrounds and things of that nature. So we'll see what they decide to do when we get to that point. But in the meantime, next week, they don't have a list. The list of the next witnesses are sealed, but we do have where they did give us the next 3 ones. So Don Richardson, she's going to be back on the stand. Then we got Kerry Morgan, and they'll be both on the stand on Monday. So tomorrow we'll start with them, and I guess kind of proceed on as they go along regarding their witness list. So I guess that's all I have for an update right now that I can think of that was really shocking to me and things that I learned that I didn't know before actual testimony. I'll be back on maybe in a day or so, only because we can't be in the courtroom live. So we have to wait for a tweet, the press that's in the actual courtroom to actually tweet out what's going on in the courtroom and to go in between those tweets to kind of report it back. It's better just to wait a day or two and kind of like report all the information. I I know that Fox Live is doing. They'll post the tweets if you want to follow up on the tweets as they're coming through. But I'll be back on, and we gonna at all times we gonna take it to trial and make it do what it do. All right, see you guys.